you're going to get some health benefits, but I think primarily it's around mindset and kind of that resilience and kind of getting outside your comfort zone.
Yep, big time.
I agree.
I think that's a lot of it.
Yeah, I think it's like anything, especially like saunas and stuff, like hot therapy, cold therapy, even like stuff like ROMWOD for CrossFit. It's just like, it's a matter of more, this person's taking enough time to be relaxed. They're like, it's not the actual act of recovery. It's, you're spending 20 minutes to like relax.
Yeah, reduce your stress levels. Yeah,
probably just like getting a good TV show and chilling out with some ice cream probably would be more beneficial for recovery than like this stuff.
And the funny thing about CrossFit is you have to make a game of it for 100%. Them to do it at a high enough intensity to get the benefit. So the intensity is lie still for 15 minutes. Okay, I'm going to do it as good as I can.
100%. Can't be rest.
Active rest. Yeah.
Yeah, just like, okay.
I think ROMWOD is genius. Like, because it's just yoga, right? Like rebranded yoga.
Effectively, it's a stretching routine essentially.
Yeah, they just like push you a particular stretch routine for the day.
Yep.
You do it. You tick the box. It's gamified. It's subscription model.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
100%. I think Andy and I were talking about like stretching has got the worst PR problem in like when it comes to anything. It's like before it was like, hey man, when you're doing sports as a kid, it's like, you stretch before and after. That's how you feel good. And now it's like, man, you stretch before falls through the roof. You're just like, everything's horrendous. But now they're just like, okay, rebrand it. ROMWOD, active recovery. It's like,
here, take my fucking money.
Well, isn't it only like a less than 5% drop in power, like from stretching?
It's also that effect is negated if you do like anything in between. It's only for a short period of time. So if you did hard stretching and then just did any amount of warm up, so like just say you did that empty bar for like as a ballistic movement, that like pretty much negates its effects.
Yeah. Me and Cam were actually talking about this last night as well. This like the idea of like doing a static stretch, which is highly effective, and then adding in some sort of like load that keeps you in that lengthened position to bring you back to baseline, but in a better way.
Yeah. So for context, so we were talking about sort of ankle mobility for me. So I've always had chronically tight calves, so could literally only just do the wall test, like not even get any sort of distance away from it, sort of thing. And everyone's got ideas on how you stretch calves and that sort of shit. And really, I think I've tried every structure, every modality of kind of stretching for calves, and I've done the banded tailor stretch, like all this sort of crazy shit. But really, the only thing that's actually been working for me in recent time that I've actually got real permanent kind of change from is really long static stretching, as in like 3, 4, 5 minute hold. So it's all, and again, kind of talking about yoga. So that's yin yoga, which is the cold, slow yoga, which is super long poses. So again, it's all just rebranded sort of stuff. But and he was saying then incorporate a movement, so then you can get that range, but then you're telling your body, okay, it's now safe to use that range. And knees over toes, guys. So I was following, did that programming for probably a couple of years, fairly early on. Like I wouldn't say definitely like first kind of group of his or anything like that.
But before he got famous.
Yeah, before he got famous, but some of his work and was like super long stretching before, because that's kind of it's all about finding range and all that sort of stuff. He's changed it a little bit now where it's less kind of long, it's more kind of active. So that's why I like split squats and all those sort of different things. Like he loves doing kind of just getting into real funky ranges. So yeah, it's interesting. Like you can find research to support anything.
Well, that's true.
Can't you? So
what was the knees over toes program like? Because I see it everywhere, and out of principle, I have refused to look at it, but I'm genuinely curious.
Are you a fitness hipster? Are you too cool to look at popular stuff?
No, I'm too cool to deal with Ash's eye when I talk about popular stuff.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I don't even think I'm a hipster. I think I'm more of a fitness hermit when it comes to this stuff. I'm just like, I was just like, okay.
You'd think that Luke was our resident old man, but Ash really is. Luke loves all the new stuff.
Trendy stuff.
Hey, we don't have our actual old man here today, our janitor, but
yeah, well, I guess there's, as a saying is, there's nothing new under the sun, and a lot of what he was doing, and again, I still follow him, and I think it's got some really good ideas, but a lot of it you'll find is kind of rooted in kind of old philosophies in the sense. So he constantly refers to the Asian squat, or Chinese Asian populations with no knee or back surgeries, okay, maybe not causation, but what do they do a lot of? They do a lot of bending and sitting and squatting and all of these different things, versus Western populations that have horrible posture, or really limited range of movement, and they have lots of knee and back surgeries and all these sort of things. So it's quite cool. So it's basically primarily it's around the if you were to sort of sum up his philosophy, it is get strong in unusual positions or lengthened positions. And for strongman, that's great, because you spend a lot of time in weird positions or at maximal ranges and things like that. So, but yeah, he kind of always refers back out to other people. So he's never kind of claiming that he's invented anything, which I think is generally a good sign, because if you're trying to claim that you've done everything or you created stuff, that's, as one of Luke's favorite words, a charlatan.
It's a ripper of a word, isn't it? We need to bring it back.
So, but yeah, so I like it. And I think it's kind of like anything, you kind of take bits and pieces from it. I think a lot of that methodology is terrific for your accessories, and you kind of just, instead of doing bicep curls, do incline on a bench bicep curls, right? So you're getting full pec and, stretch, but then there's time and place for that sort of stuff. So,
yeah.
All right. You go, Ash.
I was just going to say, it's like the empirical nature of stuff, right? Just like take what you want, like test it, see if it works, keep what works, discard what you.
Right. Yeah. And that should be most people's approaches to pretty much everything. Like, you don't necessarily have to agree or disagree with everyone, but take what's valuable for you and then move along.
100%.
Before we get further in, how about we intro our guest?
Oh, how about we introduce the podcast as well?
Podcast?
This is like podcast, Cam.
Yeah.
Be 10 minutes of preamble that we just film and then do the intro.
Hey guys, welcome to the Raw Barbell Club podcast. I'm one of your three hosts, Andy. We've got Luke here and Ash as well, the three coaches of Raw Barbell Club, minus our online coach, Red. Before we begin, guys, the Raw Barbell hoodies are now for sale on the Raw Barbell store site. So go check that out. And Luke, I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Andy. So, hey guys, today we've got another guest on. We've got a part 2 with Biggie later in the week, but today we've brought in lightweight strongman from Melbourne, one of my friends, Cam Taylor. Thanks for coming on, Cam.
Morning.
And I'm just going to give a quick rundown in case people don't know who Cam is, which is highly likely. No, look, Cam's been a very good lightweight strongman for a long time. Competed under 80s, under 90s, under 105s internationally. I'll give you a quick rundown of some of his international resume. So Arnold's Australia, he's competed 4 times. 2016 he was third, 2017 third, 2018 second, and then took the win in 2019, which is a huge title to win. He's done Arnold's Ohio twice. 2017 he was 10th, and then last year in 2020, just before the lockdown, he got over there and grabbed a podium with 3rd place, which is huge on a world stage. He competed at official strongman games, OSG, came 4th, just missed the podium there. And a very famous piece of footage came from that, where he slips over and headbutts a wheelbarrow, smashes up his mouth. It was excellent.
Yep.
And he's Victoria's strongest man under 90 in 17, 18 and 19. And then he also won the under-90s division at the Compound Carnage event at Stand or Submit earlier this year, which is another great title to grab. And he also has the, how do I put it, the dubious title of being the worst thing to ever happen to strongman. which I think is very well earned. So welcome, Cameron.
Thank you very much. I think.
I mean, from my because obviously I compete in the under 80s now in strongman. Cam's been one of the three big people that three little people, but like three big people that I've sort of like looked up to in the sport and followed and been like, oh, these are the people I need to sort of like try to be as good as. Mm-hmm. So, and he's also been very free with information, which is super kind of him. He doesn't have to do that.
Yes, but the title of Worst Thing to Happen to Strongman comes from I actually have been feeding you the wrong information for the last 18 months.
But you keep telling me to jerk everything and never push press, and I felt like that was the right way to do things.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, why don't you snatch this bar? It seems like a smarter way to do
it. Yes, snatch the log. That's
yeah, we joke and then Biggie does it. It's like, okay, well, that actually is a thing. Yeah, go for it, Andy.
Coming back around to knees over toes guy, from what I've seen on his social media, it seems like he does a lot of isometrics and slow eccentrics. So that's like classic tendinopathy rehab work. Is that kind of what's in the program as well?
Yeah,
majority.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, a lot of tempo work. So he's Poliquin kind of trained as well. So really loves that, and that's a real hallmark of Poliquin as well. Is lots of tempo work. Again, kind of having that eccentric control over that and mastery of those positions before you then express that explosive concentric phase.
Yeah, because all we see a lot of is him jumping and basically just feats of knee strength, right? It's like his hallmark. And I wonder what the actual program looks like, because I doubt it is that.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like the being able to bound, being able to be explosive is, something I guess you need to earn, in the sense we can all do it, but how long can you do it for?
And can you do it without being in constant pain?
Correct, exactly. So everyone can, contract a muscle hard, but it's, I think, and again, a lot of the research shows that eccentric strength, and that I'm doing a lot of that at the moment. Ben Lustig is a physio down here in Melbourne. He's helped me sort of rebuild my deadlift because I've had a few sort of little back tweaks and stuff like that. Basically, we just figured out that I've got heaps of concentric strength, particularly around sort of positional work and things like that. But then lack of positional strength, so being able to maintain, so isometric hold, and then so basically we're just overloading heaps of eccentric work at the moment. So I think, and that, as you go back to your point, Andy, relates back to sort of tendon health as well. So a lot of high reps, 50, 100 sets, or reps in sets, and just rep upon rep, because tendons take a little bit longer to grow and heal and all those sort of things versus muscle. So you need to spend a little bit more dedicated time in those areas.
And I guess for the regular person, I mean, the biggest increases in my deadlift dash were from doing not these high rep things, but slowing things down, working on that positional strength, right?
Yeah. Well, that was the primary issue of your deadlift, was positional strength. And then it was just like, okay, just work on positional strength. And it's like, 20 kilo PB, weird, right?
Super weird.
Well, it's long been proven that the greatest increases in strength can come from eccentric work anyway, like controlling eccentric movements, not just working concentric, but somehow that's been forgotten quite often. So yeah, it's small wonder that's actually been beneficial for you guys.
And going back to nothing's new under the sun, like that's old school bodybuilding, work the negative, the golden era of bodybuilding, those sort of things. Yep. So, it all kind of comes back into vogue again,
Absolutely. Yep.
All right, let's move on to the Olympics.
Hell yeah.
Did anyone watch the 81s?
Yes.
Present.
All right, cool. That's that. See you next week, guys.
I think it was pretty interesting. Obviously, everyone came in to watch Lou and what he did. I thought the competition started off like pretty poorly for Lou, but very good for everyone else. Like there wasn't much red on the table in the snatches.
So Lou's renowned for that though, right? He either wins the world championship or he bombs. Like he doesn't really have any grey area there, right?
I'll let Ash take this one.
I'd say that he's not as bad as Tian Tao, but he is pretty. His snatches are usually a bit more consistent than they were, but again, misses the first one, comes out and it's 165, 170. He's won all these competitions for a reason, but at the same time, it's just like there's a reason that he hasn't won as many as like Shi Yong is undefeated. Lou is not.
Yeah. So, sorry, go on.
I mean, Lou also does not seem as strong as Shi Yong or any of like the other Chinese lifters. He does seem a little bit more technical, and I think that's why people love him so much.
Although he is more jacked now, going that extra 4 kilos has like he's blown up.
He looks massive at the moment.
His pecs are huge.
I think there's a reason why like the 73s, 81s, and actually to be fair, the 96s were pretty jacked as well. Are the most popular classes because they look like they lift.
They're sexy.
That's the same as with strongman as well. That's
Yeah, because
I had to get in before you did.
Because they hit unimpressive lifts. No one actually gives a fuck about the lifting. They just want to look at them like a piece of meat.
Which I'm fine with, to be fair. Like, sexualize me all you want. Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what all these, women complaining about having to wear bikinis, to play, whatever sport. Like, hey, we'd do that. No worries.
Yeah, that's the new uniform for under 80 strongman is bikinis.
Yeah.
I did think about that. Like, I wonder if, like, the Netherlands men team would wear, like, bikini bottoms in solidarity with the women's team.
Dude,
and
they wouldn't have a problem. They're probably all Adonises anyway.
Yeah, but I guess the issue with that would be like that may take away from them taking the competition seriously as well. So they maybe not do that at the Olympics. Whereas I think it's actually quite ridiculous that they got fined for this.
Yeah, to have dress standards and stuff like that. Like I think unless there is obviously like safety limitations or whatnot, but it's just like whatever you feel comfortable to perform in.
Right.
Well, see, like weightlifting's pretty fair in that respect because everyone has to look like a tool. Like everyone has to wear the grossest singlet ever.
Hey,
and
bring back the 70s singlets.
Yeah, the stringers. Bring back the stringers.
Yeah, they look like they're wearing back to front because it's like it comes in to here and then.
Yeah, pictures like bring back images of like Serge Redin or Alexia pouring out the sides of them.
Yeah, they're just wearing mankinis.
And then they just shut you the fuck up with like a 260 clean and jerk, and you're like, okay, whatever. You can be naked if you like.
Does anyone know why like weightlifting suits exist?
Do you know the answer, and you're seeing if we know?
Oh, I can guess the answer. I don't know if this is true.
I'm gonna guess it's in the sense of similar to like wrestling because obviously they're similar ilk. It's like form fitting, so nothing gets in the way. Then they can tell if things are touching the bars touching at different areas of the chest or whatever. Maybe I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Like in the past, you weren't allowed to make contact with the body.
Yes.
Why it was called the clean and the snatch was.
Yeah. So you couldn't do a brush or a bump on the hips or anything like that back in the day?
So, and that's so in strongman, referring to the continental clean is actually an oxymoron because the continental was where that was where the body contact from, and the clean was no contact.
Yeah, okay.
So it was a clean lift. So to refer to a continental clean doesn't make actually any sense.
See, I thought it was because like it starts off on one continent, and then because strongmen are so big, second continent, then like. That's why it's continental.
And go back to bed. Take over.
Moving on. Back to
I'll drop Andy. I'll bring Ran in. You're
So yeah, how sad was it watching Harrison miss out on the bronze though as well?
He was looking so good.
Yeah. More importantly, why is his name spelt wrong?
Cam Taylor.
No, it's Morris, but it's like it's pronounced
M-A-U-R-U-S.
Morrow. Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
it's not. Yeah, it's Maurus as opposed to Morris.
He's Cam Taylor's American doppelganger in the weightlifting.
I mean, also, I recommend Harrison gets some personal grooming tips from someone.
His hair was frizzy. Yeah.
I don't like to hair shame people because I also have curly hair, but
Must be the Japanese humidity.
Yeah, maybe. What's his background? Because he looked like it looked like African, like that kind of real fuzz sort of type hair. What's his
what is his
background?
heritage?
I actually don't know. Maybe he's like Maltese or something like that.
Yeah, because he had a reasonably dark, complexion.
Yeah.
So it might be sort of mixed background or something perhaps. But you could see when they did the zoom in of when they're setting up, to lift. They zoom in, you can see his hair because it was pulled quite back, but it had a really
popping hard.
Yeah,
so
really
humidity disagrees with it, mate. It's hot right now.
It's interesting to see with Harrison though, because he had the competition of his life. So 3 for 3 in the snatches, PR snatch, and then I don't know what his best clean and jerk is. Maybe 200.
He's hit over 200.
He has hit over 200. Has he hit 204 before?
Maybe. I thought that's what he hit a couple of years back.
What did he finish on? 205 and then went 208 and missed?
No, he missed 204, right?
204, yeah.
It was, but
but I love that he played big and went for it. You know what I mean? Left nothing there. You know what I mean? To chase that podium spot. So that was pretty awesome to watch, actually.
Well, to be fair, he had no choice. It was either finish 4th or finish. It was cool because it was either finish 4th or finish 2nd. He didn't have a chance really for 3rd unless what's his face completely screwed the pooch.
Yep.
Balat.
Who got silver? Was it the Italian?
Yeah, Nino.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, talk about the Italian. Does he look like he's got?
Sorry, Nino got 3rd, right? Yeah. So Balat got 2nd.
Yeah.
So Ash has just dropped dead.
Sorry, guys.
So anybody else notice with the Italian guy? He seems to have some massive issue with the left side of his shoulder.
Even on so snatch didn't look too bad, but on his cleans, because I followed him on Instagram, but I
kept cranking to the right, right?
He was actually pulling. I'm like, has he got a massive scoliosis?
That's what I'm like. Is he got twisted in his hips or where is it?
Even his first pull on the clean, he was all over the shop.
Even his snatches, he was losing to the left.
Yeah.
He was sort of like this, and when he lost it, it was going that way. It was man, he's got some issues there for sure.
Interesting to see how many athletes at this level do not lift symmetrically, right?
Yeah.
Right. I love the view from above when they show that, and they're always just twisted as fuck.
Yeah.
The amount of people I noticed don't even get their hands symmetrical, right? And so then you watch their first pull and the bar shifts 2 inches to one side. It's you're at the Olympics, put your hands in the right spot.
In the middle.
In the middle. They've got the rings on the bar for a reason. You just put your hands at the same
they even have the blue, right? The color.
And it's not like they don't take their time. They're down for 35 seconds setting up, and they're still uneven.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's crazy. But also, I wonder if, they're doing that because they've developed these asymmetries and they kind of have to lift with them to be pain-free at this point.
Yeah, it's like when I go play golf, I know I'm going to slice it, so I just turn 15 degrees the other way, and then it goes straight.
Yeah, like an overcorrection.
Yeah, that's right.
Because at one stage, I guess these guys are chasing purely performance, purely performance for this one Olympic Games, and then they're gonna be you would
to fix that asymmetry.
Exactly.
Yeah. Now they got 4 years until the next one, so they can take their time to rebuild if they need to.
When you do 10,000 reps of lopsidedness,
that's a lot of fixing.
You're gonna get pretty good at it.
Yeah, that's at least 100 reps of slow eccentric deadlifts to fix that.
Yeah, so eccentric snatch.
Yeah, lovely. So it never ceases to amaze me, and you see it in all sports, I guess. But people that make really dumb errors under pressure, like the Turkmenistan guy, finally gets that final lift right, and then dumps it before a good lift. It's like, really, bro? I was rooting for you hard, and you just fucked it.
Do you know? I thought not enough eye contact to the judge. Big Mike, he would like that.
100%.
What about the Colombian? He got it though in the 73s. You saw that, right?
Say again.
So the Colombian, what's his name?
Gave it to him.
The fast guy, that everyone likes, Luis Mascara.
Let's just run with the fast guy.
So Luis Mascara, last clean and jerk, he's up there, drops it. Judges give him no lift because he didn't wait for a down call.
And the jury overturned.
And then jury overturns it and gives him the lift.
Well,
and he gets a medal. He gets silver.
This jury thing, right? There's no consistency across the thing. They were no repping the German guy on the arm movement in the snatches, and then they gave the lift to guys.
Lou.
It's like,
Lou.
It was. It was like,
I couldn't believe he got that lift.
Especially because it was right after the German guy lost his.
Two guys later.
How prepared am I? I actually wrote notes because I'm like, I'm not going to fucking remember everything from last night.
Just bumble through it the way I do.
Yeah. Mata. He was the Spanish guy? Yeah. So he got. He would have bombed, but he definitely got a soft lockout on his third.
Yes.
Obviously not going to impact placing at all. So they were like, all right, we'll just give it to you. Like 100% had a soft lockout.
Yeah, I saw that because he was going to bomb, right?
Yeah, exactly. So like it didn't impact placing. So like, all right, we'll just give you this one. So you know.
Yeah, because giving it to Lou wasn't going to impact placings much.
Well, they have a vested interest in Lou winning, right?
Uh-huh.
Like he is the king of weightlifting. Like a lot of people are like Lou's the GOAT. And I had this argument the other day. Like Lou is not the GOAT. This is his second Olympic gold. He's not that good. Yes.
Everyone. If you don't know anything about weightlifting, you've seen that Lou back squatting photo.
Yes.
With his shirt off. Everyone's seen that.
Yeah.
I have it, posted in my bathroom. So, for later.
But this is a problem with the term GOAT now. It just gets thrown around so fucking loosely. Like I think people have forgotten what the letters actually stand for. And, it's just like all the time. There's GOATs in sport and there's only one GOAT per sport. So everyone just shut the fuck up, calm down. There's greats. Yeah, that's great, but it doesn't mean you're a GOAT.
Yeah, and it's even interesting when it comes to like Lou being the greatest weightlifter of all time. He got one medal because of a retroactive positive, right?
Yeah, Rio.
Yeah, from Najit Ramanov is the greatest of all time because he beat Lou.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it doesn't
that
really
was
make
actually
it
cool
pass
battle.
up.
But yeah,
if Harrison had won, if Harrison had got bronze, he would be known as like one of the greatest US lifters of all time because they don't win medals. Yeah. Hidlin Diaz is the greatest Filipino athlete of all time.
Yeah. Well, even the Qatari guy, right, in the 96s, that's the first gold, same as Hidlin Diaz for the Philippines, first gold in any sport for Qatar.
Yeah, Mezzo. Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, let's do the 96s. Dude, that was phenomenal, that finish with him. Probably a less exciting overall category to the 81s, but, he comes out, takes gold on his opener, and the rest of the lineup have already packed up and gone back to the hotel.
Well, that's what I said to you, Luke. We were sort of talking. I think the 81s was a better competition to watch. There was more going on. Like it was a bit sort of tighter bunch. Where the 96s, there was like a first and a second half of each flight. Yeah,
massively. There was exactly. Like you had all them bottom runners. They were gone and home, tucked into bed before the other guys were even doing their warm ups. You know what I mean? Like there was a stark contrast between the top and bottom of that class, and it wasn't just A and B. Yeah. So.
Well, yeah, you look at the 81s finishing on 170, and you only have, 3 athletes over 170 in the 96s?
In a 15-kilo heavier weight class.
Shizi Yong lifted 168 in the 73, and that was heavier than most of the 96s.
Yeah,
so
right.
You got that to...
Yeah, because you had half the 96s were down in, the 160s, 150s even?
Most of it, but a bunch of them bunched around, 173, and then...
and I think the top 3 were all 177.
Or something? Oh, yeah, 177, that's right.
Well, the top 3 were 177s,
Yeah. Yeah, they were open like 170, 173, 177. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like even like, but I the 96s was close, but it was close due to poor performance, where the 81s were like close due to good performance, and that was like
lifetime performances. Yeah.
yeah, like they were
Yeah,
going
like
3 for 3.
Harrison, yeah, snatching out of his skin, like
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like the opening 2 kilos above their best competition result and stuff in the 73 in the 81, sorry.
Yeah.
But then you got like, didn't Bodhi Centavi hit in the mid 180s in the Pan Ams or something?
Yeah, so he came into this claiming that he was going to break a world record in the snatch.
187.
So who was that?
Bodhi Centavi, the Canadian, the 96ers.
That's does anyone else think he looks like Panini?
Does anyone else think he looks a bit like Yannick?
It's like if they had a love child, it's that guy. Yannick certainly doesn't lift like him.
Yannick hates him. That's why that's why I'm like bringing him up.
why does he hate him?
There's a bit of controversy around Bodhi Centavi because he performed a hit and run a few years back, and while he was drunk, and he kind of didn't really serve much time or anything for it.
Because his daddy's the coach.
Because so
Mark Ross think he'll get on great.
Yeah, so it's funny, like double standards, right?
Yeah.
But because he's in a Western country, like that doesn't fly. You can't just hit people and run away.
Yeah, but if you kill a guy with your car, man, you are gonna win the 109s. That's for sure.
It's a fact, cause and effect.
Yeah.
Because you absorb all the strength of the person you killed.
Is that how it works?
Yeah. It's like Space Jam.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, they have a new one. Guys, go watch it. It's in cinemas now.
Yeah, absolute biggest bomb of all time.
Oh, I refuse to watch it because like if they have access to all of the Warner Brothers characters, why just use the Looney Tunes? We don't even watch Looney Tunes anymore. At least back then, the Looney Tunes were making some sort of resurgence, right?
Sort of thing. But also, mate, LeBron's great and all, but he's not MJ, so shut the fuck up.
Well, he's not the GOAT, right?
Right?
I want my respect.
Yeah, I want a Space Jam film as well.
That does interest me though, the talking about the 96ers. So to give people a little bit of context, the 96ers used to be one of the highest like contested medals ever. And
what was it? Was it 96 or was it a different?
Well,
so it was 96 before this as well.
Right.
I'm pretty sure. But what happened was when they were changing the weight classes, the IOC were like, you need to change the 96 class. We don't want a 96 class anymore because all of your drug tests, the positive drug tests, are in this class. And then the either left changed the classes and they're like, all right, we'll get rid of 96. We'll put 89, 105. But what class would we put back in the middle then if we're not going to have an Olympic class there? And they're like, I got it. Let's just put 96 back anyway.
Like 96, and then they're just like, I tell you what we'll get rid of? The 89 class, because we're going to assume that all the people in the 96 have actually lost 7 kilos in this quad. So they're probably going to be in the 89 class, and they can get the fuck out of here.
So bad. So like...
That's what happened, because the 96 was a shit.
Yeah, so like, they're the class that used to be the most exciting to watch, and now they're not as exciting because I feel like it's because people have like moved away from it. Like Ali Mendes in the 81s like performed so poorly, and he snatched 185 at 85 kilos.
Yeah, shocking. He looked well underdone. Like he obviously had that wrist injury when I think he got the knee touch on, I think maybe his opening clean or something, so that impacted him. But yeah, because I think they were saying like even obviously because he had cut so much weight, like that impacts you, and it takes a little bit of time to kind of readjust your homeostasis down to a lower body weight, and then kind of build back up. So
yeah, he struggled big time. That's the Chilean athlete, right?
Yeah, and to be fair, he's coming off a 1 month drug ban as well.
1 month.
For
1 month.
Cannabis.
It takes the time to take some more drugs.
He got done for marijuana.
Oh.
So he came back just in time to do the Olympics.
Runs a short course of orals and straight into the Olympics.
I mean, he would have got tested again at the Olympics.
Everyone gets tested.
Yeah, doesn't mean they get caught.
Yeah. Ilya Ilin. Oops.
Ilya's the goat, man.
He is. He actually is, though.
Mate,
Is he though?
there's a new sheriff in town. He
Triple
lifts
Crown.
on Wednesday.
In different weight classes?
Yeah. So, what was it?
True.
85, 96, 109? Or
105.
105. And then, so it would have been the 105 Olympics, must have been 2012 or something, where basically, so the last three clean and jerks of the day all broke consecutive world records.
As world champs.
Oh, was it world champs? Was it? Yeah. I always get that confused. And like
Almighty.
that 15 minutes of lifting is just like fucking hectic.
Mwah.
Like, because it's literally like everyone's like, okay, well, I have to go to secure a medal. Then they're like, the next guy's like, okay, I have to go to get a medal. And then he just walks out and goes, okay, well, I'm just going to, blast all you motherfuckers.
And what was it, like 242 or something?
242, yeah.
Yeah. But remember, he also missed 236, right? Or
And
230, something like that.
Went up anyway.
So Ilya missed and then came out on the last. So the world record broke with the first guy. Then Nuridanov broke the world record again. And then.
Was it Vardanyan? No, like it's not Vardanyan. It was a Russian as well.
Yeah, so Ruslan broke the world record, and then Ilya comes out on 242, breaks the world record again.
But also the snatch session in that was also awesome. I'm pretty sure like a bunch of the records got broken in that session.
So what do you think? Because like even though the 96s were a bloodbath, like it was an exciting competition to watch for the sake of watching a competition.
Mm-hmm.
But for us that are actually in the lifts, we're like into weightlifting, we've seen a lot better from the 96s. Do you think that the effect of like removing some of, like we can say like potentially like 96s have suffered from removing PDs from sport, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the numbers were well down. I think the standard across the thing was less uniform as well.
So like, do you think that's better or worse? As like we talked about drugs from the perspective of athletes and coaches last week, but what about drugs from the perspective of spectator just wanting to see?
Well, do spectators have, like your average spectator, not us who actually are in strength sports and have context, but does your average spectator even have a fucking idea what they're watching? Like they don't have any context for the difference between a 230 clean and jerk, 240 clean and jerk, or a fucking 180 clean and jerk. You know what I mean? Like, so to be fair, I don't think it hurts the sport with spectators in the slightest, but we just sit there and go, well, fuck, these numbers are down by fucking 10% on where they should be, or where they were rather, you know what I mean? Like it's different for us.
Well, I guess the question is, who is the target market audience?
Yeah.
Right? In the sense of, because you get people that like, I watch handball once every 4 years and I fucking love it.
Yep.
But
that's me with swimming.
Yeah. And
I fucking hate swimming.
I love curling in the Winter Olympics and that's it. So yeah, is it that casual viewer? But is that casual viewer that, as you said, Luke, is not going to know the difference between good and a bad year unless the commentator says so. So you're getting fed information.
Oh fuck! Don't we start on the commentary.
And then more to the point, are they then going, cool, I'm going to go to the gym and learn how to do this thing? You know?
Yeah.
Probably not. So I think probably to your point, Andy, probably does impact it because, to those that are actually going to be anywhere close to being involved with the sport, understand that it's gone backwards.
Well, the majority of people as well that are going to be watching, like you said, they're going to be watching just this once off, and they're only going to watch the weightlifting if it accidentally kind of comes across their screen. Whereas we're all sitting here sharing the timetable going, guys, get your ass on the fucking lounge at this time to watch it because this is going to be fucking amazing. Everyone else is like, oh, fuck, I'll watch 5 minutes of weightlifting in between, sprints and swims and fucking throws.
Digital TV is great now in the sense you're not relying on the broadcaster to feed you what you're watching. You've got a little bit more choice. So you're right. You might catch a few more people as they're scrolling.
Well, that's amazing, to be honest, because I remember in the past, we wouldn't get to watch any weightlifting. You just watch the highlights and that's it.
You never got any weightlifting. You never got any throwing because we sucked at both.
Yeah.
Being able to watch like a full session is like the greatest thing ever. So like, thank you, Channel 7 app. Like if you've done one thing right, that's and the stream's pretty good too. Like I haven't had too much trouble with it.
Yeah, it's been pretty good.
Though, if I could make a recommendation, Channel 7,
New commentary team.
new commentary team would be good. Get someone who knows weightlifting instead of, I don't know who the guy is.
He's just an also ran.
The lady, I don't know who the lady is. But
Michaela Breeze. I don't like her.
No, I don't like that.
compared to all other like weightlifting commentary, every other commentary I've listened to is like, this person's doing okay, and that's all you get. At least this person is just like, technique is trash. You need to get better. And I'm like, that's all right.
Explaining the rules a little bit.
I worry. Look, it's good that she knows the sport, but she does also come off as very arrogant and super biased against, towards Western athletes.
Yes,
absolutely.
So that's my issue with her. It's also, like a bias.
Her ability to read emotion in an athlete and what people's personal nuances are is like Asperger's level wrong. Like she this is how he's feeling. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure this is how he's actually feeling. Were you even a fucking lifter? Like, shut the fuck up.
And she was a good lifter. She's an Olympian. She's won Commonwealth gold. Like, don't get me wrong. But I don't like her.
A good commentator or a good coach or a good anything. I mean, she lifted at one point.
Like, I'm just saying she has some credibility.
on Tashiki's second clean and jerk where his knee buckled in the 96, she on the replay she's like, that's a great way to pop a rec fam, and you don't want to do that. And I know from experience, I was just like, whoa.
Oh, excuse me.
Nasty.
Oh, yeah, can we talk about talking about weight cuts? Tashiki definitely was not a 96 prior to the Olympics. do any of you guys follow him?
Yeah,
really.
He's a big boy.
He looked pretty full there, bro.
Mate, the Kyrgyzstan bloke, Russ, back to whatever his fucking name was.
I know who you're talking about. The guy in red.
He was ginormous.
Yeah, that was a massive human.
Yes, he's a thick boy.
And he needs to learn how to tape up his suit better. That tape was going everywhere.
So that's obviously, Kyrgyzstan is obviously very poor, so they haven't got national non-sponsored suits. So that's literally, he probably bought that off eBay 5 years ago.
Well, in fact, that's what irritated me about the commentary. She's like, their national team should have fucking seen to this weeks ago. They were all told about it. I'm like, what were they going to do? Sell 3 fucking goats to get a new suit?
Actually,
these countries are not fucking rich. They are poor.
To support Michaela Breeze, she did say as well in the earlier session that I do not support this rule at all.
Yeah.
It's a stupid fucking rule.
Because
Let him wear the fucking suits.
Ritvaz, when he had tape almost stuck to his face.
Yeah. Yeah, she did say that. Yeah, because the Adidas symbol here, it got caught and went onto the bar.
Fuck, man.
Imagine that. You just fucking lie.
These athletes have so much going on and so much that they need to be thinking about. Do you really need to have this issue of sponsorship? These guys aren't getting paid anyway.
Dude,
Olympic athletes
trying to run with the whole thing that the Olympics is for amateur athletes only, and then you flick over to the basketball and there's Kevin Durant captain in the US team,
and Novak Djokovic,
multi-millionaire,
vomit pulling out of the
twins team tennis,
doubles,
shut the fuck up. He's worth about $500 million.
And you're worried about this tiny Adidas symbol, right?
Yeah, right.
But that does raise a good point, right? So you've got obviously full professional athletes, right? Mm-hmm. But then in the combat sports and stuff, they are amateurs.
Yeah, they have to be in the boxing and stuff. They can't accept any prize money.
Talk about draw crowd. Get Manny Pacquiao. Fighting in the boxing or whatever.
That's if you read back through the history of the boxing and that, guys like Mike Tyson, they would go to the Olympics once when they're 17, and then all of a sudden they turn pro. You never saw them again. So you always had these second-rate boxers at the Olympics. It was trash.
100%.
Still do.
Yeah.
No offense to the boxers because I still think they're great, but it's not the top tier.
But they have to make a choice of being paid to do their sport or just do it for fun. I guess every 4 years.
Here's a $50 million payday, or go to the Olympics and not make any money. Oh fuck, I wonder which one.
That's what I mean.
Pick.
What
fuck.
El Paso. Why can't they do both?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you're kind of seeing that weightlifting is the example of where this is where the disparity is a huge case, right? Because you see, athletes that are treated as professional athletes, and like, you know, obviously Russia's not there this year, but like Russian teams and even the Chinese team, like these guys, like all they do is weightlifting. And then you have like Australian athletes who pay their own way there, or like maybe they got some support. They get a small stipend, and they're, you know, basically amateur athletes. And then on the other end, you have like the USA sitting in the middle, where they've reformatted the way they've done things, and they're actually trying to support the athletes even more. And you can see that it's working. Harrison almost got fourth. Jordan won a medal in the snatch, if there was a medal for the snatches there. And then obviously she didn't do as well with clean and jerk. And, you know, like the US athletes are on the rise as a whole, like regardless of what their performance is. They've never been this close to Olympic like medals.
And America's a good example because their track stars have always done that. You know,
yes,
like they've always been, you know, top level athletes, and because obviously it kind of just flows on from like college sponsorships and things like that. They just get put into programs, and you know, away you go. But again, those kind of lower level sports, or maybe like less mainstream sports, don't get the same attention.
Well, you could look across the Australian sports. I bet you the swimmers get a lot more than our shot putters.
That's what I was about to ask. What's the swimming
stipend?
Yeah, or like just the system that they exist within, where they just.
So I remember our shot putters were only getting about $10,000 a year to be Olympians of assistance. $10,000 does not go very far in Australia.
It's also possible that we have the biggest net when it comes to swimming, because as a culture we're taught that, you know, like we're on an island, you need to swim. So we're capturing everyone through that, and then siphoning out the people like, you know, me that potentially aren't very good swimmers.
That I 100% agree, but like at some point there needs to be some money in. But I guess if there's just enough people that you're like getting through, there's enough people watching, therefore there's enough sponsorship, enough money you can get.
Well, what I'm saying is that we're good at swimming in the Olympics, despite whatever our actual system is.
The swimmers get a lot of money. They get a lot of money. Like they get a proper wage. That's what I'm saying. It's very disparate. Shot putters and the lesser known sports are lucky to maybe get a 10,000 stipend, and these are proper top tier Olympians. Whereas the swimmers are protected and brought right through and paid a proper wage. So it's very disparate.
You got to look at, like, you know, Kieran Perkins was on milk ads. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of the.
Jeez, mate, showing your age there.
Yes, but you know, like I think being on like the milk or the Wheat Bix ads, like that is peak Australian culture, as far as like you are the highest level athlete you can be.
Yep. You know? I mean, we used to have weightlifters on like Wheat Bix ads and Telstra ads in the past.
And all that sort of stuff.
Mick Sidonio with the Tartan Warriors for the Wheat Bix Strongman back in the 90s was on the Wheat Bix box lifting an Atlas stone.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Wheat Bix just did an ad recently where they had a weightlifter on it, and the guy who was doing the weightlifter isn't even a weightlifter; he's a strongman.
That's Macaulay Tinker. Yeah, he's a mate of mine. He's one of the guys I went to China with. Yeah, I actually cast for that, and so did Andy. And because I worked with the director recently on the Uber ad and also that TAB ad, he worked with Macaulay on the Wheat Bix ad. And Macaulay does a little bit of weightlifting in his training. Like he has some reasonable numbers. He has like a 150 snatch, and I think.
I'm not saying that he's not good or he didn't deserve to get the job. Yeah, he's not a weightlifter, you know, like
an athlete.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't that Brandon Wakeling or one of the Matthew Litterman, like one of the actual Olympians, going to the weightlifting?
Because have you seen those guys in comparison to Macaulay Tinker?
Oh no, I understand it. I'm just saying, like, why is the sport not that's exactly being celebrated?
Mind you, I saw the other day, because I very rarely watch free-to-air television. In fact, I'd never do. So I don't really see ads anymore.
Right, hipster.
Oh, fucking sorry. It's more that my TV's broken. I can't flick over from fucking Netflix. Yeah, they had an ad on in between with one of the basketball stars. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I saw Kiana Elliott in one of the car ads as well. So I think there are a few more, which obviously is very topical right now. They're obviously going to use stars that people can recognize at the moment. But I guess once this is over, they'll forget all about those and go back to their regular castings.
You get 12 months pre and post Olympics.
Yeah, well, Melissa Wu, who's our Olympic diver, and we know her because her brother is very involved in weightlifting, Josh.
Yep.
She is on the Optus. No, is it Optus? I think it's Optus ad.
Yep.
As well.
Yeah, and back in the day, I remember Scott shot putter. Fuck, what's his name? He's actually a mate of mine. But he was always doing those ads back in the day where he was dressed up as.
Where did Ash go? And what's with your picture?
I have no idea what happens.
Have you died? Are you zooming from heaven or some shit? Like it looks like in a fucking dream.
That's like, if something goes wrong, it's like it's a mishap. So
it's happened the other day. We just blurred out for a while. But yeah, Scott was on maybe a Telstra ad where he dressed as a ballerina back in the day and things like that. So it has happened over the years, but yeah, it's pretty few and far between the opportunities to make some bloody money for these guys, and it's a full-time gig regardless of where you finish in the Olympics, right?
Oh yeah. Actually, speaking of ads, you know what I thought was very distasteful? Have you seen the ads for getting vaccinated by the Olympic athletes?
Oh really?
So it's like I'm all for getting vaccinated. I think that is the only way that we move out of this entire lockdown. So this is my, I do want everyone to get vaccinated. I think that's the only way we move forward. But
they're politicizing the athletes.
Exactly. So the ad goes, it's got two Olympians standing next to each other. They go, before I left for Tokyo, I got vaccinated. And then we encourage all Australians to get vaccinated. And then they turn to the side and they like show like a Band-Aid on their arm. And I'm like, okay, cool. Are you just trying to like brainwash us now? And I understand that's how advertising works, but it was just like so distasteful to me to see that.
Double down on this, and they could have done this better. They could have really just like shown an athlete and it's like, tell you what, me being an Olympian, I know a lot about injections, and let me tell you what, mine went great.
Mate, get all the weightlifters, get all the shot putters.
It's like, I know as much as anyone about jabs, and this one is top notch. Just like...
Brilliant. You should be a casting director.
Yeah, it just writes itself, doesn't it?
100%.
It's funny you say this, Andy, because I actually was supposed to do a self-test last night for a COVID ad for a major airline. I actually declined the job in the end because I didn't really fucking want it. But yeah, they're actually really starting to come out with the propaganda surrounding that. Again, I don't disagree with vaccinations at all, but yeah, it's funny. They're really starting to push those new adverts like that.
And I mean, like, not to turn this into a vaccination show, but like, also, where do you get a vaccine? Like, mine's booked for October.
Yeah.
And I had to do some like dodgy shit to get it.
Everyone hurry up and get your vaccine, but there is literally nowhere to get them.
I'm a big fan of that.
Let's move on from vaccines. I feel like this is a dangerous topic.
Yeah, let's go to Trent.
Yeah, right. That's more poignant, right? We're talking about weightlifting.
So Qatar has the greatest drugs. They're 25 kilos ahead of basically where everyone else finished. 15 kilos ahead of where everyone else finished in the 96s.
Yeah,
but I think it's also because like the other people that have high quality tren weren't competing. Like there was no Iranian lifter, like Sarab Maradi didn't get in there, Tian Tao dropped out. So realistically, it's not a matter of Qatar having the best drugs. It's just that the other athletes with the best drugs just happen to not be there. But at the same time, you Georgia there, so it can't be too big of an excuse.
Oh, also, how poorly did Plesnioy compete?
How good was his third clean jerk after not being able to do his second? Like he got the magic spray out. It was completely shot, was completely disabled, then came back and nailed it. It's like,
is this the Georgian fella?
Yeah,
man. He had to just be carried off the stadium, off the thing.
It was the old Liu Xiaojun of 2019. Does anyone remember that World Champs? Where
where everyone cheers him off the stage because he has back pain.
And then comes in his 207 for the world record.
So, like, do you think he was... actually, Lou, do you think he was injured or do you think he was just had a cramp? Because at the start, I thought he was cramping.
You talking about the Georgian guy?
Yeah.
Look, as quick as he recovered, it had to be cramping, right?
After the second, when he went backstage, they showed his team. They put ice on his knee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Initially, it did look like a knee injury. I think he just pulled out some of that Eastern European grit
Halo.
that they're renowned for. Yeah, Halo. Yeah, fuck. That doesn't operate that quick. But yeah, like I mean, I was thoroughly impressed. Actually, that was a really ballsy performance because it's very easy at that point just to pull out. But yeah, it's he also had Lasher watching him in the stands, so I guess that's a bit of a motivator.
Oh yeah, I would not want to let Lasher down. Imagine if he was like so this is how you'd get me to perform well. Lasher comes up to you and he's like, if you do not win, I will not hit 500 kilos. And I'd be like, okay, I guess I'm winning today. I need to see this.
Open your snatches at 200.
Speaking of crowd, did anyone notice the Japanese renter crowd singing multiple nations chants?
I did.
Is that what that's what you messaged me,
That's
right?
what I messaged. So
the other day I was sitting there going, what is that noise in the background? I'm like, hang on, they're singing.
When Ali was out, they were going the chi 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 le 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 viva Chile, and then they were doing the Lu Zhao Zhan Lu Zhao Zhan, and then like all these other ones. I'm like,
Japan
thinks of everything. They're amazing.
That's
so good.
That's so kind, right, to these athletes that are missing out.
Thing to do.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you noticed, but like when you see Mezzo come out, he clearly thrives off like the energy of the crowd.
Yeah.
And you know, I was cheering for him, and I'm just in my house, and I'm like, I hope you know, Mezzo.
I hope you feel this. It's funny. We talked about that the other day. Remember when we were talking about the IPF and International Weightlifting Federation about how they have their competitions like a fucking funeral home, right? And
well, they had to tell the guy to shut. They had to tell the crowd to be quiet, right?
Yeah, it was the Dominican or maybe
the Dominican ones,
and like it was obviously like his girlfriend or something. She was just screaming. It was just one person screaming at the top of her lungs, and you see the coaches off the side just going like, "Shut up."
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. But like Biggie said the other day, he went with GPC for a super title because he wanted that energy in the room, not like the fucking librarian style of an IPF meet. So it's like, and it's funny because my favorite commentator, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe they're making noise. I'm like, what kind of fucking competitor were you? Because I thrive off a bit of a crowd as well. So I can switch it on regardless, but it's like, some people like energy there, Nana. So just back in your box. Let's have some fucking energy.
I think it's kind of, and the weightlifters can probably speak to it a little bit more, but I think, noise right up until you're like set at the bar. And then, because I think that seems to be the kind of common, what is the word I'm looking for? Not culture, but just like, like that's
atmosphere.
Atmosphere. That's kind of what's practiced in the sense. Like, it keeps the noise as they're coming out, getting psyched up, and then like
the etiquette of it.
Yeah, etiquette.
Yeah, etiquette's a good word.
Yeah. Thinking of, yes, correct.
I see. Like, I don't know if that. I mean, yeah. Look, I guess compared to powerlifting, the actual movements are a lot more dynamic. So a lot more technique is involved quickly. I guess like golf, like a golf swing, takes like 1 second's done. So I understand like being quiet because you want absolute focus, but at the same time, like you're exactly right. Like right before a lift, right after a lift, I want to be, jazzed up. Yeah, I want.
It takes away from like that's probably why like think about weightlifting as being like it's not that popular. It's probably due to the fact that like it's pretty shit to be a spectator a lot of the time.
Right. Yeah.
Super sterile.
Yeah.
It's
like breaks.
Like
yeah. Big time.
Like if you're there, you're just like, hey, be quiet for the next 45 minutes while those people do their stuff, and then you just give them a handshake afterwards. Yeah, sweet. But
like a little golf clap.
Yeah, right.
But you watch like, does anyone? Oh, I assume everyone's watched the 246 Ilya Ilyin at the President's Cup when it has like from the backstage and it's like 20,000 people just going fucking nuts.
Yeah,
it's like that's what you want weightlifting to be like, but it's just like instead it's like.
It's kind of like the like the Happy Gilmore. Like you need to bring some Happy Gilmore to the golf. Like get the bikies, get the beer bongs, like make it a festival.
You're absolutely right. We just need an athlete to come along that's just like yells at the crowd and like, get the fuck up. Like,
yeah, right. Let's pump it up in here. Fucking hell.
And I guess you also have to trust the crowd to make the right decision. Like I feel like strongman is really great in that sense. Like they know when to be quiet for like a lift or they know when to be loud for a lift. And I know the lifting's very different, but like you see like in strongman, like deadlift events, people do not shut up. Like a truck pull or something, people do not shut up. But in like a max
press,
log,
and right, is this why weightlifting's got no fucking money in it? Because there's no interest in spectator. Nobody watches it. You can't sell tickets to it. Nobody wants to go see it. The only people in the crowd when you go to a nationals here in Homebush or junior nationals is family and fucking friends. And we're talking elite level lifters here. You know what I mean? It's like, it's basically a car park comp in a fancy complex. Like it's no different to a low level strongman. So.
Yeah, it needs to bring like the WRPF, like the worlds. So
where they got like fireworks and shit on stage.
Like in the like would have been like, was it late 90s or maybe 2000s, Luke? Where basically they like, and they're starting to bring it back now. But essentially, it was like broadcast on ESPN, and they just put big money up. And it was just like, we want people going absolutely berserk the whole time. Like, and
they've brought it back in Russia and that at the moment. Like they do those huge events over there in Russia, the Ukraine, wherever. Got fireworks on stage between lifts, and the place just goes off, man. It actually makes powerlifting interesting for 35 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, even like the Arnold does that, is going towards that. And it's just like, and they try and like, at the same time, like, don't know if anyone knows about like some of the controversy. Like they strip the records from the Arnold. They're like, oh no, they don't count because it's like not sanctioned, but it's like a world class meet with world class stuff.
Yeah, with the top lifters in the fucking thing, and
it's just like it's just 100%. It's just like
powerlifting's its own worst enemy.
But it's similar to weightlifting. It's just like, oh, we should gatekeep this, but realistically, the only thing that you need to do is get more spectators. That's how you make a sport better.
There needs to be, and I hate to say this, but because then it starts to splinter and fracture more, but there needs to be a breakaway federation, untested, with fireworks.
Yeah.
But every sport.
Definitely fireworks.
Golf, if you guys,
fireworks too.
If you've watched, like, as it goes in the hole, the ball gets launched up into the air.
Like a skyrocket.
So, like, inside the golf ball is just gunpowder. So, like, it's just...
they're like those fake balls that you use on, like, a bucks party.
Yeah. And then part of it is, like, so, like, everyone has, like, a bucket of balls or whatever, and one of them in there is the gunpowder ball. So, it's like Russian roulette. You hit one and then, like, bang.
Blows the front off your fucking, blows the end off your golf club.
Yeah. Or you need them to be like incendiary, so you like trace around, so you can see the ball.
Yeah, because then you could do night golf, right?
Yeah.
White Foss golf balls.
I think it was Houston in the weightlifting where they had the screen behind, and don't get me wrong, the plain red screen, the plain red background with the Olympic rims looks kind of nice, but it was Houston Worlds where behind the athletes in weightlifting, they had a screen where, like, if they hit a record or if they hit gold, like, it would simulate fireworks and things like that.
Cool.
Do you guys remember that?
No.
Oh, well, that was pretty exciting. I think that's a step in the direction that you guys are going with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the other one that I like that they're doing in Tokyo, Cam, to your point, is in athletics, a bunch of the seats are just white.
Yeah, and it's all like speckled and stuff, so it kind of looks at least
like people are there.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
yes,
on the so last night was the women's 100 final, and it was literally just after the Qatar bloke did his second, which I didn't think he was going to take a third. So I'm like, I'll flick over.
Yeah, that's why you said I'm going to sprint, and I said, fuck that, I'm sticking around for this shit.
I'm like, there's no chance he's taking a third.
He might as well have just left it at the second. That was embarrassing.
Yeah, exactly.
That was all right, man. He was just having fun. He was smiling when he walked out.
But so basically, for the women, what they did is like, and it is shit because it would have been amazing with 100,000 people in there.
Yeah.
Because it was quite. I watched all the heats earlier in the night. But basically, the whole stadium goes totally dark, and then it's like they've got basically the track lit up, and like doing like all these kind of cool graphics and stuff like on the track, and it was like this whole like 5-minute build up of like
cool.
the lights slowly sort of coming back on, like spotlighting the athletes. Like, so you can imagine that, like 100,000 people, you've got all the other track sports and field sports kind of paused for the moment. Like, it just would have been awesome. And you've got like a handful of
photographers and media.
It was really cool.
What about like where's Japan at on robotics? Couldn't they have filled the stadium with like 100,000 AIs or something?
Well, weren't there drones in the opening ceremony? Did you see that? Like drones flew up and made the world.
Yeah, okay.
So they do have the capability of doing that, but they're saving it for World War III.
Makes sense.
They've only made military variants at the moment.
Yeah, no, not for consumer use. Yeah.
So, just a real fun story. So when PS2 got released, the Japanese military actually banned it from being exported because the computing power, and basically what was going to happen is they were scared of like Iraq using them because the computing power that they could buy through a PS2 was better than they could produce in military.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
PS2 was going to go all Skynet on everyone and suddenly take over the world.
At one point, one of the world's biggest supercomputers was like 200 PS2s taped together.
Just on network, they were just this is actually just the biggest group game that we've ever done. Just on some internet cafe, just like put it all together.
Actually, and it's still, I think it's like there's still one. It's in the university in America. Still one of like the top supercomputers is like still a whole bunch of PS2s. Yeah,
brilliant.
Imagine what the PS5 is like.
Worse. They learned the lesson.
Yeah, because what they were worried about was like other military powers using the like graphics cards for like intercontinental ballistic missiles because the way that they like the geospatial like 3D kind of positioning was like way better than they could purchase legally through other sort of arms dealers of all the embargoes and shit like that, like the Middle East and whatnot.
I wonder if it's like do you guys used to watch Futurama?
Yep.
You know when the robots all rise up in rebellion and like the toaster jumps up off the fucking bench and like runs off? Like I wonder if that's the PS2s. They're all just sitting there like gathering intel and then they'll just sprout little legs and run off with that.
I like how you jump to Futurama and not just like Terminator.
Skynet reference.
Instead of Skynet and like Terminators like butchering people, you're like, yeah, imagine if our toasters ran away. I appreciate your positive attitude.
It was a great show. Fuck off.
So I had a whole bunch of other notes that I wrote down that I thought would be funny to talk about.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Which one was it? Chen Po Wen, or whatever, in the 96ers.
Yeah, the Taipei.
Yeah, from Chinese Taipei, aka
how about the quads on that
Taiwan?
Right.
Are we gonna get censored now because I said Taiwan?
Yeah. North Korea and China are listening to this right now.
Yeah. Basically, he looked really uninterested, and he had like the weakest little like raw like charge out before he walked onto the platform. He just went like, I'm like,
hey, Communist Party crushing my homeland.
Yeah, it was obviously like being like coerced into not performing well or something.
Or coerced into just being there.
Yeah, either or, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's like a super inconsistent athlete. Like, usually, I think they said he bombed out at 170 in the like previous comps.
That's why he went like 171.
Yeah, he went 171. Like, better top that.
What was interesting though is there was not much of him. He looked super lean, but then if you look at his legs, they were absolutely massive.
He looked like a cyclist, not a weightlifter.
Right?
Like the full track cyclist, like when they get off, their like legs are just engorged with blood. Like
like that German guy, remember?
They've got no blood in their brain anymore. It's like all in their legs.
You bring up an interesting point, Cam, in that like with China like having ultimate control over Taipei, like I wonder
Taiwan.
What pressure was on him to actually not to either perform well or not perform, because like there weren't any other Chinese lifters there. And then
not in that division, that's for
if we go down to the 59s, same like Quo wins outright. I don't think there were any Chinese lifters in the 59s either, right?
It's so weird that they didn't put those athletes in there. I guess.
They ended up putting their athlete in the 64s.
They've been shot now, though. Yeah.
So where? Yeah, fuck. Back to the Labor camp. Where's So where was Chiantao in the 96ers? Because he's the record holder,
Didn't
right?
make it.
I didn't
I-
qualify.
No, he qualified. He retired,
Oh,
but
right.
they didn't choose him. So like it's not. So for the sport of weightlifting, the qualification process is very like convoluted.
Mhm.
But like China basically, because of their performance, gets to have their pick over the entirety of the weight classes.
Oh, right.
But you can only
They can only
send
send
a
four.
maximum. Yeah.
So
Uh,
So you can't send one of each weight class.
Yeah.
what was the limit? 4 people, 4 athletes.
Yep. 4 males.
Okay. Yep.
Because I think there was someone was talking about that where someone pulled out, and it must be for the supers.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was talking about this in the telecast last night, where someone, because they've pulled out, they realised that they're not going to be able to beat Lasher, so they pulled that person out, and they're sending someone else in another weight class. They're like,
Yeah,
we're
right.
actually a chance to medal here. So
That poor bastard. I mean, nobody in history has a chance of beating Lasher,
Yeah.
so it's like, fuck.
is anyone going to turn up on Wednesday, or is he just going to go by himself?
Might
I
as
think
well.
he's just gonna walk in
Well-
and just snap. I wouldn't be surprised if he just snatches like 215 and then
Yeah,
it's
well,
like, oh yeah, I'll. That's it.
I'll skip my second and third.
Yeah.
Because the
That's what,
issue.
well, that's what Biggie said. He reckons he'll just do really low openers, take the golds, and then do something like a lot less than what we want.
Well, because the issue for him
Selfish.
is because of the rising bar, he's going to follow himself 6 lifts in a row.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's snatch and clean and jerk. Where like if it was powerlifting style in the rounds, sweet, I'm going to get 15 minutes between lifts.
Yeah, but if he just like does 215 and then jumps to 230, but does it by 1 kilo increases, he'll get a nice big rest in between.
You only allowed three of
Yeah.
those.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
I assume as well,
fuck
like,
it.
Lash is the sort of person that I feel no one would deny him. So he's just like, they're like,
Can I take a fourth?
Yeah, almost like they're just like, oh, you're up. You got 1 minute. He's like, don't worry about the clock. He's like, okay, man.
They'll-
It's like,
yeah, they'll
do
get
the
it.
one you want, man.
There'll be a 7-minute jury deliberation between his second and third, and it'll be fine.
Yeah,
Literally.
Cam, do you remember Zadrunas in Melbourne in 2016?
Yes.
So like that was in the
On
RFL in
the
2016.
Mad Max log.
Yeah, that's the one.
Where
And
Cole
it's
put
like
behind
Colin,
himself.
Colin Bryce would be like, no, that was the following year.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Colin Bryce goes, okay, guys, we're on for this time, and then like Zadrunas would just be in the massage tent having a lovely time, or just
Getting
how he moves really slowly, he just floats around like a planet in orbit, about the size of a planet, and it's like, okay, guys, we've got to go now, and then nothing would happen for 20 minutes because Zadrunas wasn't ready. It was all literally just ran on his clock. It was hilarious. I'm like, I know who's really running this show, Colin, and it's definitely not you, brother.
Yeah, it was like at Giants Live the other week when I'm Bibi goes, he like takes his third, misses the world record,
Yeah.
then just like lies down for like 8 minutes, and then they were interviewing post, and he goes, "Can I have another go?" And they went, "Okay."
Yeah, and we wonder why we can't get rules surrounding records right domestically. They're doing it wrong at the top level.
Yeah,
Oh, so that was like a fourth attempt, was it?
4th attempt. Yeah,
For that axle.
Yeah, it was trash.
yeah. Which
Uh,
And it
generally
wasn't
fourth
under, it wasn't
attempt-
under control, so fuck it. That wasn't a record. I'm not recognizing it.
front view was all right. Like there's worse have been paid, and yeah, I think it was.
That, which in and of itself is a problem as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It wasn't the worst. I think it was fine, but but as far as so it was a 4th. It was outside the
Outside the
settings.
yeah, it
So
should
which-
be outside of time set it like it.
Yeah,
It should be like, okay, that was an amazing PR and an unofficial world record, but it wasn't done within. This is a problem with strongman in general. This is a whole other can of worms I don't really feel like doing today, but
We're doing it.
Yeah, it's whatever. Fuck it.
so talking about why weightlifting is boring is because it's so clinical.
Yeah.
What makes strongman so exciting is it is entertainment
Yeah.
first and foremost. The
Exhibition.
history of the sport.
World's Strongest Man's a television show. It's still
yeah,
is.
exactly. All of those sorts of things, and then
Yeah.
old-timey strongman is exhibition stuff. So, in the sense of don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. In strongman is don't let the rules get in the way of a good show.
Yeah.
Really, And so if it means a quick down call to get a record and sell more tickets for next year, they'll probably do it.
But you know what? On the flip side to that, I've been watching the CrossFit Games in between the Olympics, and mate, they have struck a great compromise.
Yeah.
Because it's actually entertaining. I'm genuinely enjoying watching it. And I'm not a CrossFit person by any stretch, but I have a lot of respect for their athletes. But it's actually genuinely entertaining. They have shit tons of helpers and assistants. Yes, there's a lot more money in it, but it's like money has come to it because they've done it right. What the fuck are you doing, Andy?
Their broadcast, they're live in particular.
Yeah, it's excellent.
And because the way that they structure it is like, even like when they need to do, say, 25 pull-ups or muscle-ups, right? And they do 5 on each bar and they move. So visually, for the commentators, everyone, you go, oh, that person's in front because they're at the next bar or whatever. So the way they do it is
and everything is head-to-head. We know in strongman, head-to-heads are always the much more exciting events to watch because it's like a race format, right? So when you can have 2 or 3 or 4 lanes going at the same time on yoke or, head-to-heads on stones and things like that, it's far more exciting for the fans. These guys have managed to put CrossFit into a stadium setting, and broadcast it perfectly around the world. And I would argue that they're probably actually contending with the Olympics for ratings right now. Like if you looked at the numbers, they're kicking ass, man. That's
what a huge weekend of sport.
Yeah.
You got the Olympics on, you've got CrossFit.
Nothing for the rest of the year.
Yeah, Luke got caught in that rabbit hole, right? Weren't you up until like 3 a.m. the other night watching CrossFit?
Yeah, I was there, I never thought I'd do it. I was at 1 a.m. I'm watching wall walks. I'm like... Then I was like, what the fuck has happened to me?
What if you want to go down a rabbit hole, you need to, and in the theme of weightlifting for you, Luke, I think it might have been 2013 or 12, the clean and jerk ladder.
Oh yeah.
Is awesome to watch.
Cool.
So 1 year they did clean and jerk, and then the other one they just did a clean ladder.
Yep.
So basically what it is they have like 15 platforms all by, and then it's Indian file. So and it's on a clock. So it goes beep, beep, and everyone shuffles 1 bar forward, and then you've got 30 seconds to lift, and then if you're out, you're out, and then there's like a gap in the Indian file, and it just sort of keeps going.
Well, to be fair, I actually genuinely enjoyed the clean ladder they did in, I think it was event 6 and 7. They did back-to-back clean ladders with 200 meters and then maybe 100 runs in between.
Yeah,
and Tia power cleans it. The last one.
Tia's doing powers the whole way through, and the others can't hit the openers. Well, it's like. Damn.
Because the last few years they've done speed ladders, right?
Yeah.
Which is cool. But this one, it's a longer event, and so they've got like 90 seconds between. So you see some big lifts, and that's when like Jason Khalifa, who was like one of the early CrossFit champions, he is a big boy.
One-time CrossFit champion, only 2008.
Yeah. Hey, he was a CrossFit champion. He was all right, but he is a huge dude. Like he couldn't do like the endurance stuff now. He played like.
Well, it's like strongman. CrossFit's evolved rapidly. You know what I mean? But but even this morning, they just finished. Then they had the max snatch. What the fuck is going on? Whose microphone is that? Ash, turn your potato down.
I don't think it's mine this time, is it?
I think that was yours.
I think it's your arm rubbing on your headphones or something.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it. All right. I'll stop moving.
Breathing too heavily into the microphone.
I was just turned on by the CrossFit stuff.
But yeah, they had the max snatch this morning. And I mean, we're talking about event 12. And by the time they were hitting the top numbers, it was their 9th lift. And these guys are still snatching 300 pounds. The Aussie, is it Reese Dunn or Dunn or whatever? He was in the last 2. The Brazilian guy's a phenomenal lifter, actually, at a beautiful 305. I mean, those are big numbers for people that don't specifically work on their weightlifting very much in comparison. Those 3 days into a comp, 12 events deep and 9 lifts in.
I do think it's important to note, Luke, though, that at this stage in CrossFit, you are putting some dedicated time into. I know it's not like your entirety of your sport, but these guys are weightlifters.
I realize that. I mean, well, look, T is an Olympian, right?
Yes.
And that showed.
That's the thing, right? In the sense of the major criticism of CrossFit early on was like, you need to specialize. You can't be good at everything. And then they just went, cool, give us a decade and we'll be elite or sub-elite at just about everything.
Well, today's a classic example. Everyone went, her handstand walks are her weakness. She came fucking 3rd? Damn, I wish that was my fucking weakness.
100 meters on her hands. You can be running 3-hour marathons and also have a sub-elite Ollie total. Like,
yeah, it's like I think it was
Phenomenal.
2017 when they had the ranch run followed by max deadlift. That was a sick event where it was just like, and then the amount of rest you got was pending where you came, how fast you run. So if you were slow, you started the deadlift like immediately, and it was just like
good. So
it was just great.
Dave Castro is a bad man.
Yeah. He knows how to sell it.
I think that's also part of the fun. Is like Castro is the cowboy. He is the Colin Bryce of weightlifting. Oh, sorry, of CrossFit.
But then and a lot better direction.
But then there is some bureaucracy obviously keeping him in check, which would be like the weightlifting side, right? And then that's where you get that perfect mesh of like bureaucracy, of red tape, as well as like
imagine
entertainment.
The ultimate status like last year where they all balls to the wall that fucking sprint at the end of the ranch, and then he's like, "Good work, everyone. You're halfway. Off you go."
Back.
They're like, "What?" And you see him die a little more. I think that's a role I need to have. That sounds fucking great.
Games director of the CrossFit Games.
Fuck yeah. Can't do a pull-up, running the show.
I mean, to be fair, like if you've ever seen Castro train, like I don't know. I know he can. He's ex-Navy SEAL, I've just seen him.
Ex-Navy SEAL is that all.
He's the worst athlete ever.
I've seen his deadlift. Do you remember that deadlift video on Instagram many years ago?
I do.
A hitch that took 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It'd make Derek Poundstone proud. What else is on your list there, Cameron?
Hold on. The fucking winner of the guitar bloke had a huge package. I did like that. I thought.
Actually, I don't think his suit. I don't think his suit did him any injustices either, right? Like
that was definitely helpful.
The lines were at all of the right places.
Yeah, it was like
I think he had a hand in the design process.
And Yu Dongju, the Korean bloke, had a real good power belly, so he could transition to strongman quite nicely. I thought there was no way he was 96. Like he still looked reasonably tall, but he was fat.
Yeah. I also think a lot of that was just like poor posture. Like that guy has the biggest lordotic curve I've ever seen in a human.
We're talking about the guy that has the same haircut as Dan.
Yeah,
Wally.
with Dan. Yeah.
He looked like one of those fucking mushrooms out of Super Mario Brothers. It was a terrible haircut.
Yeah.
I believe that haircut is a Korean delicacy.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, I think it made him so top heavy, he kept losing his snatches forward because his fucking head was too heavy.
Yeah, because it's South Korea, so that's like he's rebelling against North Korea by having like an unkept.
Yeah, not having the Kim Jong-un do like they have to in the north.
Yeah. That was all kind of the funny things I had to say. I think we've spoken about everything.
But with his power belly, he wouldn't be mad. He's like, "Fuck, I've just missed my 2 openers on clean and jerk. I'm going to continental clean this fucking thing." Gets 220.
Yeah. I was getting confused because I do follow quite a few people on Instagram, but because some of them have got really long names, they only got portions of their name on screen. So it took me ages to realize Kademir, the Venezuelan bloke, that I followed him because I'm like, I don't know this name. Like,
is that the guy in the 96s that was about 3 meters wide?
Yeah.
He was wider than he was tall.
That actually
Venezuelan nugget.
Yeah, so there's a strongman going around who's competing in 105. So I competed against the under 80 OSG in 2008, and he competed at Clash on the Coast. This guy Tyler Young, really cool guy, but he is honestly, I think he would be just on 5 foot tall. Wow, and he just looked like a Venezuelan version of Tyler Young. But yeah, he there was all these different names. I'm like, oh, hold on a second, because so the guitar bloke, his name was Perez Al-Bak, and then I was on Instagram. Yeah, I'm like Instagram is like Masso something. I'm like, hold on, that's the same guy. What the hell?
Yeah, I don't know why that's the case.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's done other comps though. When it says Meso Persona.
No idea.
Like, have you it confuses me that I got the holistic strongman, but really you're not holistic at all. You're actually the worst thing to happen to strongman. I mean, I think we need to update your bio there, mate.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same ring to it though. Really, like.
Yeah, we need
I
to
don't
come
know.
up with a short version that rolls better. So, while we're talking to Venezuelan, anybody got an insight into why his third was disallowed? That 216.
So
Did he drop it early?
he dropped it
That
early.
that was my only thing. I thought maybe he
Yep.
went before the buzzer.
Yeah, so I and the commentators, the jury, like it didn't sort of come out at all in the broadcast, but
No.
when watching it live, like on the actual lift, I
Yep.
actually thought, oh, he's dropped
He's
that
gone early. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought too.
Yeah, but then
Yeah.
again, the efficacy of that commentator just didn't notice that. It was like, yeah, cheers. Like
because
she didn't mention it.
Yeah, all of the
Yeah,
replays,
right.
they never, they don't play this. They
don't have the
sound
audio. Yeah.
sync to it, so that it was
Yep.
hard to watch. But it was only because I kind of thought it, because even I saw it at Dan Wally on Instagram this morning,
Yep.
and he thought it was his feet weren't together. I'm
Feet
like,
not
no,
lined
because
up.
you can see he actually twists a little bit. To
He
square
turned. Yeah,
up.
he rotated, and it was
Yeah.
so they ended up in line. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was my thoughts as well. I was just curious what everyone else thought as well.
But
Which, look, at least they were
technically-
consistent because they. I mean, obviously the other guy was way before the call, but that the fella from Turkmenistan,
Roger Bob.
I actually felt for him because I really wanted him to get that lift, but
yeah.
yeah, he went well before. He just like locked out and dropped it straight away, but that's the one thing they did do consistently, I guess.
I still think that the jury is a joke.
Yeah, I'm not big on the jury.
Like if you have judges, trust the judges to do their job. Wait until a card is played before the jury gets involved.
Just,
Ask for a video ref.
I fucking hate the video ref in rugby league. They've already fucked that, so it's just as bad for weightlifting, right?
The onus should be on the judges to get the call right, and the athletes to prove their case if it's wrong. Like you have a video ref, that's awesome.
Competition.
Well,
Which they do. They have one challenge card, and none of the coaches know how to play the challenge card because the jury's constantly intervening anyway.
Yeah,
so
like going, nah, we'll step in on this one.
So what the challenge card does is the challenge card takes the power from the referees and gives it to the jury. If the jury has overturned your lift, you can't then play the challenge card again and get the jury to look at it again. It doesn't work.
Is there a higher power above the jury?
No, so there's no point having this challenge card.
The court of arbitration in sport. You just got to go to Switzerland.
Yeah, is that all? Oh fuck, right, no worries. Yeah, it's funny though because that wouldn't have done the Venezuelan much chop because they were off celebrating Carnival in the back room before they'd even realised he hadn't been given the fucking lift.
Which was super sad.
I know, it sucked, but they'd missed their fucking window because they didn't turn around and check the fucking lights. Like,
yeah, they were lucky that the jury actually.
That was the lucky one on the jury, but didn't help him in the end. But yeah,
but they shouldn't step in.
Well,
They shouldn't.
Agree.
One, it might have been in the earlier in the week, so in the 70s or something, 71s, where the jury I think the lift was not given, but the athlete completed the lift, the clean and jerk, because it was given for an elbow touch, and then the
jury actually saved the lift, because his elbow didn't touch.
Correct, and then as the commentator was saying, she was like, "Well done for the athlete for completing the lift, knowing that
he'd done nothing wrong." So tell me, how do weightlifting referees, are they only positioned in front or are they at the sides as well, like powerlifting?
So there's 3 referees, one directly in front of the athlete, and then 2 to the side.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I mean, they should be able to pick up on an elbow brush from the side because the camera.
They're not perpendicular though.
It's more like a 45.
Yeah.
Right. Because
so they have it.
Obviously, they're directly to the side, and
so you can see depth. Yeah.
See depth. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they're not. They're not on the sides. They're still like center stage.
Yeah. So if you're going to judge an elbow brush, surely you need to be from the fucking side for that. Like, especially in that case, Cam, that you brought up, because that was blatantly like 2 inches in between. When you viewed it from the different angle, but from the front, it did look like a touch.
Yeah, but that's like again, that's part of the sport. Like,
what, trash refereeing?
Yeah, no, but like, but like, if there's only a referee from the front, you're not going to be like. I think they just take out the video ref. They have the judges they are now. The whole system out the back is derived for like jumping clocks, moving stuff around, like the clockery that's involved, just like fucking around.
Part. That's like that, and that's a really unique part about weightlifting. Is the gamesmanship.
And then just like get that the fuck out of here. Let's add a jury so we can sit here for 10 minutes after 6 people that don't know anything about anything. Talk about
Well, I think that's important. Another note, like for the spectator who doesn't know what's going on, one, we don't have a live scoreboard on the screen, so you don't actually know who's winning or where everyone is. And then you don't get to see that backroom clockery.
Yeah.
So what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's like weightlifting is so content to be really shit for spectators, but really good for 60-year-old people that just get a stipend off like Thomas Ayan's tits to like support themselves. It's just so fucking dumb that there's a bunch of 60-year-olds that like, what are they doing there? Like, just nonsense that they're like, they just gave like a position to 6 other friends of the officials so they can get paid for something rather than actually be good for the sport.
What cracked me up the other day was when they had the medal ceremony in one of the women's classes. They had the interim IWF president there. I'm like, the interim, right? So where's the other 2? One's in jail, one's on the lam. He's still fucking running. Like, like, you're in good shape, IWF. Well done.
Yeah, just like it's just so clear their incentive. Like, we're going to clean up this sport. What was it? What's the name again? The American that was going to go for it, Andy?
Ursula?
Yeah, Ursula. We're going to clean up this sport and make it a proper spectator sport. It's like, you're getting the fuck out of here. Cue that right there. Let's get the Thai guy back in there. The people that drugged the kids and got caught this year. Let's get that guy involved.
Yep.
Weightlifting saved.
We need to get Colin Bryce as the head of the IWF.
Right.
We need more cocaine, more fireworks.
Right.
Less.
I mean, to be fair,
I'll go watch that.
Yeah, to be fair, like I think and that's why when they had the vote recently, one of the guys that was going for the vote was a Chinese businessman. And they're like, oh yeah, let's get him involved because he has ideas on how to monetize the sport better.
Yeah.
You know, like if you make the sport, you know, have money in it or attract, you know, people that are going to spend money in the sport, that's only a good thing.
In the sport, you'd have bribes and medals. That's how you get money in the sport. It filters to the top, and eventually it'll filter back down. It's basic economics.
Yeah. Well, maybe you need to start the corruption at the bottom.
That's true. Bottom up rather than top down.
Correct. Yeah.
I've been doing corruption wrong my entire life.
You idiot.
Yeah, I'm gonna just take some notes. I'll be back in a sec, guys.
All right, for guys, I think that's probably a good place to sort of leave off then.
Is it?
I think so.
That can be the grab that we use to promote it on Insta.
There's plenty more weightlifting to watch over the next few days. I'm pretty excited about that. Are there any sessions? Yeah, are there any sessions that you guys are very excited to watch?
Yeah, Matty Rogers on Sunday, and then obviously Lasher on Wednesday.
Those are the 2.
Yeah,
what about Kate and I?
Cancel the rest.
Who?
No.
Yeah, who exactly? Kate and I was on later today, right?
Yeah, so we've got the 76B group at 250 today. Then the A group at 850, which is Kate and I's group. We've got women's 87 and 87 plus B group at 1250 on Monday. And then 450.
Laurel Hubbard's going to go.
Okay, I guess the podcast is going for another hour.
No.
Okay,
I just want to
is she competing against Lasher? Is that who she's competing against? Or I don't think she's going to do too well in that case.
So I just want to see how is she going to go in the 87 plus category.
So I actually don't think she's going to win. I think Li Wenwen will win.
Yeah, Li Wenwen's
100%.
I do think Laurel. I think Laurel will podium potentially.
I think she'll get bronze.
But I don't think it's going to be a high medal. Yeah, I think it's going to be bronze. In terms of like what the
and thus ends the experiment.
Politics. I think it's.
I've just lit the news, so I've just got to walk out of here.
In terms of having more transgender athletes in Olympic sports or in professional sports competing in their gender of choice, a case can be made that her doing poorer at the Olympics is probably better for pushing more trans athletes into these sports.
It's a double sport, isn't it?
Well,
if she does really well,
yeah,
it's
Shouldn't be poor.
not as
It'll-
good for
it'll
the
be opposing argument.
exactly.
The problem is though that Laurel was not Lasher before Laurel transitioned to Laurel. So you know, it was she whatever was a pretty ordinary athlete to begin with. So
She still hit like 180 clean and jerk, didn't she?
Yeah, so
yeah, but
like-
that's not super elite fucking men's lifting, is it?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
so if we suddenly have guys transitioning that were like Lashers, not that there's more than one of those, but you take my point, right?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah, so what you're saying is she was a middle of the pack international caliber weightlifter, or potentially just national caliber. No, she was international
and it's
caliber.
now like what, in her 40s, early 40s, maybe.
Yeah, it's like old.
So we're not talking
Old
about
for
somebody
weightlifter.
at their peak either. Like, I think it's a poor example because I think if you suddenly had like 20-year-old super freaks transitioning, suddenly the women don't actually fucking have a chance, and then that's where I
Yeah.
really take issue with it, because that's trash.
Ilian at 20 transitions. It's
Right?
going to be a
Well,
fucking
yeah.
different story, isn't it?
Fuck's sake. Yeah, exactly.
So to sort of throw a different angle to it, so in the 5,000 meters women's, so there was might not have been Nigerian, but it was definitely one of the African nations.
Ghana, I believe.
Naya Subin or something. I think it was her name. Essentially, so she's got the same type of condition as 7-year Caster, so which was basically just a slightly different sort of chromosome profile. So she's, and
higher levels of natural testosterone production,
correct,
things like that. Yeah.
So as according to the track federation rules, if her testosterone is over a certain marker, she is no longer legally allowed to run anything below 5,000 meters. So she was a 800-meter specialist, so she now has to run 5,000 meters.
Why
Unless she is artificially
reduced, so she would have to take higher doses of estrogen or something.
What's the criteria for 800 to 5,000? Why is there a difference
I guess the testosterone would be more effective for power
beneficial
athletes
due to
versus an
athletes?
endurance athlete.
Correct.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So which and she actually performed really well. I think she made the final. I don't know how she went in the final or whatnot, but yeah, it's just like you've got some athletes that are women, obviously intersex or whatever, that are penalised by these kind of arbitrary numbers. You know,
but it's like you could then turn around and say, like, it's funny because Yannick last night's going, oh, that sprinter, she's amazing, she's a mum. It's like, hang on, bro, slow up there, because mums do amazing shit all the time, and I don't see it as a barrier for performance. Yeah. But also, you've got to consider the benefits that come from off the back of pregnancy. There's a huge hormone dump, and you get a lot of angiogenesis that occurs with additional proliferation of blood cells and things like this in the body, where you could argue that a woman post-pregnancy is actually in a higher performance state. What are we going to start banning them as well because of their natural production of hormones post-pregnancy through a completely normal biological function? Like it's a different argument.
The contraceptive pill there can be an argument made that can have performance enhancing effects for women as well, because it is a exogenous hormone that is being used. So it's very, very murky, and I think Andy, you've probably raised a good point that there's going to be a case for or against Laurel depending on how she goes.
Yeah. I mean that's just on performance itself.
Yeah.
And Ash, sorry to cut you off. You can continue.
No, you go.
But I think in terms of like whether she should be there or shouldn't be there, I think it's important for someone to be doing this, because that's how we raise these questions and actually enter this discussion.
Yes.
Well, kind of like we said the other day, we need to talk about these subjects. We need to have these discussions. Ultimately, I think it's going to have to fall into a separate category, like it's been discussed in strongman and other sports like that. Just that's fuck. I mean, that's just my opinion, I guess. But I think that's the fairest way to do it.
I think you go.
Sorry, just it was really exciting to watch all of these new mixed events that are coming out, like the mixed relays and things like that. And I think that is opening up the space to have, athletes just competing against each other, no holds barred.
Okay, you can go next, Ash, but just on this one. So there was
I'm jumping in again there.
Usually, so most of the teams on the 4x400 mixed relay went male, female, female, male, right? So male to start, male anchor. One of the teams had a female anchor, right? She started with 80-meter head start, and she got closed down by every other male on the track.
Yep.
Now, and which again, it's great to have it, but it also then, depending on the sport and the situation, does also show that kind of disparity. So that also kind of brings its own unique kind of challenges, perspective. So when it's hard to kind of judge, fast is fast, but it's not until you have that comparison of, say, male or female, elite, sub-elite, whatever the case.
You have. Sorry.
Oh, look, Ash is going.
No, you can go.
Right now, you have a very direct comparison in CrossFit.
Mm.
The CrossFit Games are on right now. You have super elite in male and female, and
there's 60-kilo difference between the barbells.
Right, 6 kilo difference, but even the events where it's purely body weight and it's exactly the same, the men are absolutely crushing. And it's like you could chuck Tia in the men's and she wouldn't even get in the top fucking 40. And that's no disrespect to her because she's absolutely one of the greatest athletes ever. But there's just biological differences, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, pretty much what I was going to say was that like the Olympics has like a time-honored tradition of having like people that work out for a long period of time at like super maximal levels of test and then drop into a different category. And I think we just need to respect that. Like, look, a lot of people train with super high testosterone, and then when it comes to competition, they drop it back down to fit within that. And this is just another case of that, and we should respect it.
Well, the counter argument, right, is so if a biological woman wanted to transition to a male, is she allowed to use testosterone as part of her?
If it falls within the arbitrary requirements,
the
arbitrary number. That's so.
But so, what is the arbitrary number for male testosterone numbers? Right, in the sense of if
there is a limit because that's for testing, right?
Correct. So she now as a this athlete would be disadvantaged if they could not use exogenous testosterone, because that also contravenes the doping regulations, but does she not have a right to be a male in the sense of having the appropriate testosterone levels?
Yep. And then you can start going down the road of, we see it all the time. There's a lot of guys in different strength sports. They blast the fuck out of gear and they're still mediocre. And then guys run these very little courses of bugger all. So where are they getting these arbitrary numbers of this will give you X fucking performance increase? Because
they say this is
it doesn't work that way. You don't just take more and get better. It's not the same. It just doesn't work.
Pretty much they say there's like a natural range, and then like if you fall outside of that, that's when you get popped, right? So if you're
that's why they do it in the testing in the mornings, because then that's the closest to your baseline.
Yep. But they don't.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're actually getting the same benefits as somebody who possibly even naturally is actually, there's so many variables here. It's outrageous.
I think there is talk of having like a doping passport that shows your your testosterone as it travels through competition season, and using that to quantify drug use rather than just like single tests.
That's awesome, because if I just continue to just blast the entire season,
I'm on 10,000 meg a week the whole season. That's my normal levels.
Yeah.
I remember, like at the same time of this, they're also they're also testing for masking agents and these other substances.
I'm not masking it. I'm just blasting.
That's what I say. My natural level is 10 grams a week.
Hey, that's a t-shirt slogan, Andy. Don't mask, just blast.
Don't mask, just blast. And it's so like but also like it goes for COVID too. Like I don't mask, I just blast it out there everywhere. So topical.
We need to give them the context of the t-shirt.
Yeah, let them make the decision on like the
Mate, that'll be a major seller. Let's get that out at Raw. Got 2 markets we're straddling there. That'll be brilliant. Awesome.
Cam, where can people find you?
Instagram's best. So the Holistic Strongman, all one word. And that's about it. But thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being here. Definitely enjoyed talking to you. You brought up some really cool points and then left us with a with a bombshell for people to go home and.
Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely.
That's
Oh yeah, what
last.
before we go, if you are a casual spectator of weightlifting and you are interested in the sport, check out the IWF's website because they have a live scoreboard that you can watch at the same time as watching weightlifting, and that'll give you context to who's actually winning at the time.
Yeah.
The only issue is that it's a little bit faster, so that
the person that lists the most won. That's usually the answer.
well, no, not in the case of like snatch and clean and jerk. They have a really shitty clean and jerk. He can, hit really shitty snatch. They can hit a massive clean and jerk and still come third.
God, that happened many times.
Simply not true.
But it is.
That's how maths work.
Yeah. No,
1 + 2 = 3.
I don't know about it.
We're literally talking about people winning by 1 kilo.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that isn't true.
They've still lifted the most.
Yeah, in the clean and jerk, no. They might have. If you snatch.
I don't know when I added this distinction of snatch and cleaner jerk and being separate.
Ash is talking total. That's the nature
Yeah,
of
I
the
was just like, who lifts the most spins? That's all I was saying. Just like, look, you got to take into account other things. And
No, I'm saying that when you're watching the Olympics, we talked about how when you're watching the Olympics in weightlifting, you can't see what's going on because you don't know what they snatched. Like, who remember? I don't even remember what everyone else snatched except for Lou.
It says
23 minutes ago, I couldn't remember the 170. God,
Andy, it says on the bottom of their
When they go for their attempts, it says the
It's on the
total.
bottom of the screen. On the bottom right, it says snatch, and then there's subtotal
And
total.
their current
and then they've got their
subtotal.
I
three
need a scoreboard. I don't know how to solidify this.
bright
to you,
neon
mate.
lights.
And
Yeah, so that way.
Yeah.
I expected this, Andy, from the spreadsheet king, not you, mate. I expected better.
I just make my own. As they're going, I just plug in the numbers.
I don't know why we're arguing about this,
Minority Report
but
style,
guys, the scoreboard is helpful, and I think it is a huge benefit to seeing what's actually going on, as well as the order of lifters. Guys, you can find Raw Barbell Club at Raw Barbell Club on all of our social medias. So that's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and all the rest. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel for all the content that we're putting out, and go to the Raw Barbell store and buy one of our new hoodies. You can follow Ash at AshJones_NSS and Luke at Luke_Blue Mountain_Reynolds. And you can follow me at Train with Andy. Thank you so much for being here, guys, and I'll see you next time.
Peace.
Bye.